Good evening, everybody. Today is Thursday, June 11th, and we're at episode 22 of The Current Status. I'm one of your hosts, Melissa Palmer, and you can find me on Twitter at vmiss33.
And I'm Pumla Schmidt, one of the other hosts, and you can find me on Twitter at Exchange Goddess.
And we have a very special guest and a very special topic tonight. Jeff, can you introduce yourself
Sure.
to everybody?
All three of me. Yeah, I'm psychotic. I'm Jeff Guillet. I'm Principal Systems Architect for Exchange at Extra Team, an SPS company. I am a Microsoft Certified Solutions Master for Exchange and an Exchange MVP. And I've been doing this for, well, gosh, since Microsoft Mail was around.
And I can barely spell Exchange. I am hanging out with the Exchange Mafia tonight. And we're going to talk a little bit about Office 365 and identity management in Office 365. So why do I care about managing people's identities in Office 365? Why?
Sure. So identity management is super important and necessary in Office 365 unless you want to manage two different sets of identities, usernames, passwords, etc. The basic rule in any IT project is to try and get your user impact down to as close to zero as possible. So using identity management, you want to provide something as close to single sign-on as possible. Sometimes what's possible is same sign-on, which is authenticating with the same username and password, but having to authenticate more than once per session in Windows. But it's one of the things that you can do if you do it right, and it has a huge impact on customer satisfaction toward the project. So when you get everything going, everybody's in the cloud, or half and half, they just log in using the same credentials. They're not having any issues.
What type of deployments do you often see in terms of identity management?
Yeah, so I do a lot of Office 365 and Exchange on-prem. And so most of the engagements, actually, I could say safely, all of my engagements are hybrid engagements where somebody has Exchange on-prem already, and they're moving over to Office 365 either to test it out for a proof of concept, or they're doing it for, they want to put some of their users in the cloud, they're dipping their toe in the water, or they want to go full, their idea, their IT roadmap is to get into the cloud completely. And so there's several phases that are involved with that, or parts. The most important part is directory synchronization, and that's where you synchronize your local Active Directory users. That directory goes to Azure AD in the cloud. That synchronizes the user accounts and certain attributes that have to do with the user account and typically their mail. Their mailbox, and it synchronizes there so that when you have somebody in the cloud, they're able to see a unified global address list. The GAL looks the same in the cloud as it does on-prem, and then you need to have some form of authentication for those users. Once they've been synced to the cloud, they need to be able to authenticate, and that's usually done through two different ways. One is doing password hash sync, and the other is using ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services. Password sync is what it's normally called. We're not actually syncing the password to Office 365. We're hashing the password, or we're taking the hash of the password, and we're hashing it again, and that gets synced to the cloud. So your real password is it can't be reverse engineered back to a password, and it's not stored in the cloud. So once we explain that to a lot of customers, that eases some security concerns.
So for someone like in the healthcare industry or the energy industry where security is a huge concern, that totally would eliminate it?
Yeah, I've got multiple customers that are in the energy market and pharmaceuticals that are doing password hash sync, and it fulfills their security regulation requirements.
Really,
And
for the energy industry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that surprised me, especially with the SIP5 standards, because I'm not sure if Office 365 is actually certified for SIP5. That's interesting.
Couldn't tell you that, to be honest. Now you're gonna make me look that up. So.
I think they are with HIPAA, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
because the energy industry is probably the most stringent of all of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a customer that I am configuring that for right now, who's in energy in Sacramento. So yeah, but the so one way to do the password sync or get the authentication is to do that reverse hash sync of the password up into Office 365, and then when a user authenticates to Office 365, they are passing they're signing in with their password, but the hash gets synced, and as long as it gets sent to Office 365, and if they match, they get authenticated. The other way to do it is using ADFS. ADFS requires more gear. You need an Office 365, well, besides your tenant, and DirSync, and usually password sync anyway. You're going to use ADFS servers. There's usually a real setup would have a pair of ADFS backend servers on the inside network, a pair on that do WAP proxy for the front end, and then load balancers for both sets. So there's quite a lot of gear for that.
So it's like 6 servers?
Four servers and 2 load balancers.
Wow.
So why would I do each one, I guess?
Yeah, that doesn't seem very efficient.
Yeah. So that's not for the customer who's trying to minimize their footprint to get to the cloud, right? Some customers, that's what their goal is, to get to the cloud because they want to reduce their IT footprint on-prem. That's not going to get them there. These machines can be virtualized, of course. Even the load balancers can be virtualized, but typically, you're doing that many servers because you want high availability, okay? Because if this is your only way to authenticate, you want to make sure that those servers are on. Yeah. So
it just doesn't seem like. But why would I? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just confused by the whole concept of that whole. I need 4 to 6 servers just to authenticate.
Yeah, because once you enable ADFS, you are on the hook for ADFS. That is your sole way of doing authentication. So you're taking the authentication mechanism and putting it on-prem. You have to make it highly available. You have to make it, it's got to be up all the time. I mean, the other way, if it's not, then nobody can access their data at all.
Who needs to access their data? I mean,
people get cranky when that happens. So.
Like it's just email. I mean, seriously?
I mean, it's just email.
Yeah, it's just email.
So at a minimum, it only really requires 1 server, 1 ADFS server. But for security, you don't want that authentication traveling into your internal network. So you usually have a proxy, front-end proxy. That's the WAP server. Okay, so the WAP server acts as a reverse proxy to the backend server, and which does the authentication. Then if you need high availability for that, you need 2 of each, and then you have to load balance them. So that's where all that comes from. Now the advantage of that, why would I want to do all that crap? So the main reason for doing it is I want to, if I have other cloud services besides Office 365, okay, I can, maybe I'm using Salesforce or Workday or something like that. I can use ADFS and do authentication in at one point, sign into it. It's almost like a portal. Sign into that, and then once I'm signed in, it gives me my access token to get me to Office 365, Salesforce, and Workday. Okay. So you can leverage it for other things. The other thing that ADFS provides is more granularity on how you can authenticate. So I can say this is only, you can only do this with ADFS. You can't do it with password sync. I could say that Outlook can only connect to Office 365 from internal network.
Oh.
Okay. So it doesn't work from outside, only works from inside IP addresses.
Okay, so that's where you're. Okay.
Yeah, and I
That's
can
what
also
people
get a lot more granular, and I could say mobile devices only work internally, or mobile devices work okay outside, but Outlook
Not
doesn't.
inside. Okay, I
But
think I like that.
or
Okay.
OWA.
So, but let's say you want your users to connect to Office 365 on company devices without being on the network. So can you do something there?
No. Right now, this is the part that I get the most questions for from users, and still cannot be done. It's being worked on, but it's still not available. And that is allowing Outlook Anywhere access only from company-owned devices.
They still haven't figured that out.
They still haven't done it, right? The easy way I can think of to do that is certificate-based on a device. Put a certificate on the device and have it authenticate that way. But because Outlook Anywhere uses passive authentication, they can't do that. So they basically need to re-engineer Outlook Anywhere protocol, or they need to come up with a new way of doing it. So they are aware this is a stop. This is a blocker for some customers. So there's a pharmaceutical that I'm working with who they cannot do it unless we do this because of PII.
Oh, yeah.
And regulations. Are not allowed to have their device on anything other than a BitLockered computer. They can only control BitLocker from company assets. They can't do it from a home PC. You know, so there's no way to do that at this time. We were just talking about that at Ignite with the product team. Again, I've mentioned it several times, but they are looking at it. It may be a combination of Intune, Windows Azure Active Directory Premium. It may be a bunch of secret sauce that goes into it, but right now it's not possible.
So it's going to be like a Frankenstein hodgepodge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Magic.
Yeah, right. Do not look behind the curtain.
Yeah. Don't look at it. Just
right.
know that it works.
Yeah,
okay.
But that essentially, I was thinking that Intune has a workplace join feature, and you can do mobile device management through that. I was thinking that might work, but when talking with the team, we talked it out, and it's not going to work. So
yeah, I mean, I would think that would be a really big selling point.
Yeah,
I know of a lot of organizations that would want that same type of feature. You know,
right.
They don't have to be in the company network, but you know, you can still
right.
connect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Outlook is the big blocker right now that I see.
Shame.
Yeah, and then and that doesn't even work. I'm on. I can't talk about that. Sorry.
We didn't sign our NDA agreements, okay?
Yeah, right. I almost did something bad there.
We almost got Jeff in trouble.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they say trouble is my middle name, so you know.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't my fault, okay? Paul.
Right.
Yeah, everybody would blame me for it. What did she do?
Yeah. One of the, like I said, one of the biggest or most important parts of federated management, identity management with Office 365 is directory sync. And right now there's 3 tools for that, all from Microsoft. Yeah, the first one is DirSync, and that's the one that you get if you go to the portal and say, I need to set up directory synchronization. It will download DirSync. DirSync's been around for a long time. It actually started off as a 32-bit program way back when, and now it's running 64-bit, and it's been updated along the way. They keep adding new features to it, but it hasn't really progressed too much. They've done gone as far as they can go with DirSync. Then they came out with another product called AAD Sync, Azure AD Sync. That did pretty much everything that DirSync did, but it allowed write back of passwords. So I guess I should explain this. So if when you're a hybrid customer, you're still managing your user accounts on-prem, even though you may be all in the cloud. Okay, you still need to manage email addresses, create distribution groups, and things like that. And because you're synchronized your objects with Office 365, all of your user and account management is done on-prem, including resetting passwords.
So is it possible that if you don't have it set up correctly and let's say you have admins creating accounts in the cloud, we're under the assumption that it would sync back to on-prem? I mean,
they're going to find out that it doesn't, and they're going to have problems.
They're going to have a bad time.
So
have you seen that
one of the
happen?
training? Sure, yeah, I've seen that before. Actually,
is that a common mistake issue?
Not after we tell them not to do it, but what actually is somewhat common is somebody. I'm a consultant, right? So I do implementations all the time, and a customer has started to do their own implementation, found out that it wasn't as easy as they thought it was, or were told, and then they hire a company that's in the business of doing that. We come in and we get it going, but in the meantime they've already messed it up. They've got their tenant and they've created accounts there that match their accounts on-prem, and they have a mailbox there, and that mailbox is different than this mailbox, and it's like, okay, you got to choose which one do you want to keep, or do you want to export it all to a PST and get it into that mailbox so now we can migrate it properly. It's a little bit of cleanup sometimes. More often than not, those guys say, oh yeah, we were playing around, we didn't know what we were doing, just delete it. I have had, very large company, it's like 85,000 users. They had global user management, and they did not get training out to the Taiwanese group fast enough, and they were doing a big uptick in new hires, and they had created some accounts in the cloud and found out, well, that was the wrong thing to do. We had to delete them. Luckily, they were new accounts, didn't have much mail, if any, and so we were able to just delete the accounts and create them the right way.
So you should create the accounts on-prem and not the cloud. You always
create all the accounts on-prem. All your password resets are going to be on-prem. So even though they're in the cloud, when they go to reset their password, it has to be done on-prem.
So it's a
and then DirSync password syncs that hash back to Office 365. Okay. And then that's pretty much how it goes. So you the other reason, I know this isn't about hybrid, but when we're doing hybrid and they've completed their migration, everybody's in the cloud. Usually, 99.9% of the time, customers are keeping their hybrid deployments on-prem. They're still doing their user management in the cloud. In on-prem. They're still doing password resets, creating distribution groups, setting email addresses and permissions and such. They're doing that on-prem and letting it sync to the cloud. And that's primarily because it's easier to do in on-prem, and once it gets synced, it's everything's good. It just works. So
isn't that almost anti-cloud?
Pardon?
Is that almost like anti-cloud?
It's not anti-cloud. It's just that they have it until Microsoft comes out with some tools that allow you to do the management in the cloud directly and not do it on-prem, and also allow universal synchronization that goes forward and backwards. Right now it's one direction, pretty much.
So that's the big issue.
So you need bidirectional.
You need bidirectional. Yeah. Now the other thing is, and this is the very common thing that I hear people talk about within Microsoft is, once you migrate to the cloud, what do you need to be on-prem for? Well, most people have file servers.
Yeah.
And they have file shares. And they have application servers that are not going to live in Office 365, and they need to authenticate. So that you're still going to need directory synchronization, or you're going to need a directory on-prem, and you don't want to have two different sets of password policies and two different sets of passwords to manage. So you're pretty much stuck with DirSync and hybrid in perpetuity until you either get rid of all that stuff on-prem so it doesn't exist anymore, and I've only come across one very, very small customer that was able to do that. For the most part, everybody's got file shares and things like that on-prem, and they need the directory, they need authentication there.
Okay, so what if, like, kind of a DR scenario, what if there is no more on-prem? And you just can't add users, you can't manage users?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
what
mean
happens if your prem blows up?
Okay, so in the case of directory synchronization, that can only be done on one machine. Okay, one copy, one directory sync application.
Wait a minute. So you want ADFS to be fully redundant?
Well, there's two different ways to do it. Remember, there's DirSync with password sync, and then there's ADFS. ADFS brings all the authentication on-prem.
Okay, but
Password sync just syncs the passwords. So if everything goes dark on-prem, users can still access their data with password sync because they're still authenticating to the cloud.
But no new users.
They're not authenticating on-prem. You wouldn't be able to create new users. You wouldn't be able to reset a password, but everybody still works.
Gotcha.
Right? Now, ADFS, you've got it all in one site. I've got it uber high availability. I got 4 servers, back-end servers, and 4 front-end servers, and load balancers, and all that stuff. And the lights go off. Yeah, and the lights go off in that data center. You're hosed. Nobody can log in.
That's
Now,
okay.
Now, so that how is that confusing?
Well, not confusing, but that's a tough decision because most enterprises would want fully high availability, synchronization, authentication.
Right.
But if your on-prem blows up, you're screwed. You're shit out of luck.
Yeah. So this large customer who had ADFS, they made it geo-redundant. So they had servers in Europe, in Germany, as well as North America. So then what you do is, if North America data center goes offline, California slides into the sea, everybody in Germany, can still log in through Germany. Of course, those people out in the sea, they're not really caring about getting their email. They're swimming toward Arizona, right? But
beachfront property in Vegas.
So are you like kind of? So if you have kind of geo, as long as I have it set up right, my people from the U.S. can log in through Germany in the event of a DR type of thing?
Mm-hmm. And now that you just doubled your costs,
doubled my everything.
But but
that kind of makes sense though, because
yeah. Now another fallback method.
Stuff that happens.
Yeah, another fallback method is to do ADFS with password sync, both, right? And it's not automatic, but if ADFS goes offline for some reason, you can make a change in the cloud to make the authentication package happen in the cloud, so that now they're using password sync.
Okay.
So instead of ADFS. So if you don't have a geo-redundant data center to use as your failover, you're able to flip a switch in the cloud, and people are able to log in still.
This darn cloud thing.
It's
cloudy.
What's going on?
Cloudy.
Like, seriously, It's a trend. It'll just it's a little fad.
Just like virtualization, that was a fad too.
Yeah,
exactly.
This stuff will just it'll die in like a few years. Like what's this cloud? Yeah, that was like so 80s.
Yeah, remember that cloud? Wasn't that so funny when we did the cloud? Wasn't that cute?
Just like CC mail,
Yeah, right.
Well, I think kind of bringing anything to the cloud is almost a big project. It's a big organizational shift because there are all these gotchas, and you have to make sure you're doing it the right way. You're not just rushing to say, hey, hybrid cloud right here, look at how we do this.
Yeah.
Make sure you do it right.
But would you say, I don't know, sometimes I hear executives think, oh, we got to go to the cloud because it's a cost.
You know what?
It was in
you know how you stop that?
Below.
Yeah, get rid of all those in-flight magazines, and that problem will go away. Because, they come back from a trip, and they're like, I read about this cloud thing, and we got to be there.
Yeah. Let's go. They're giving free
Gotta be
unicorns
there.
away.
Right. It'll solve all of our problems. My dandruff will go away. It is awesome.
The cloud. Look, we don't have to pay for the data center anymore.
Yeah, right. What do I need you for?
Exactly. If we go to the cloud, we can get rid of 5 IT people.
Right.
Okay.
If I go to the cloud, will I become taller?
Of course. It depends on who you ask.
Do you get younger if you go to the cloud?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's why
you
they're
can't
going
get
there.
any younger though. You'll just turn into an infant.
I want to go to the cloud. I want to stay young forever. I'll be like the little lady at 93, and I'll look like I'm 21
Yeah,
forever.
right. Yeah,
Out of
you'll
the
be
on-premises servers and bring them up to the cloud, and that's how we get our life force.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, well, here's another server. Look, 10 years younger.
I get younger every time I P2V.
That's right. Hey, you know that how old am I app or that
Yes.
website?
Yeah.
Yeah, guess where that is?
That's
That's in the cloud, baby.
Yes, and everybody just gave their base.
Exactly.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know that you just added your face
Right.
to a huge
Do you know
database?
that you just added to the biggest facial recognition database ever, and now you know where you are and where you're going and what you're doing?
Yeah.
Like they didn't know before.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
It's the
They probably
NSA. They're watching. Hi. By the way,
Well, what
I
are these
forgot my
things?
Tumblr
Come on,
password.
biggest fingerprint database ever. Hello.
Right.
Well, Paul Robichaux wrote a really good article about, if they want your data, they're going to get it.
They're going to get your
Oh
data.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the NSA.
Yeah.
If they want it, they're going to get it. If the
Exactly.
government wants it, they're going to get it. They're going to subpoena it. Regardless of the entity, if they want your data, they're going to find a way to get it.
Yeah.
It's just,
All data is as secure as whispering from a rooftop. So it's
just data.
yeah. And what you want those pictures of food, they can have them.
Cat pictures? Take them all.
Yeah, I don't like cats, so take all the cat pictures you want.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. See, the NSA knows that too. They don't like cats.
They know that. That's probably why you don't see like cat pictures popping up in your ads and stuff, right?
Yeah. That's because they know I don't like it. I'm guaranteed I'm on a
Oh
list
no!
somewhere.
Wait! Puma doesn't like cats. Let's change this for her so she doesn't.
Oh yeah. I'm guaranteed I'm on some type of list.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Like
Lots of lists. Yeah. Yeah.
like, oh great. I'm coming down the airport. Yeah, just make sure. I swear, I go through an airport and I get flagged all the time. TSA.
Really?
It's small people. I swear it's a small people.
I set off every scanner, and I'm like, oh, I'm not wearing, like, seriously, I have nothing. They're like, no, you need to come over here, and they start, yeah. Almost every airport.
Do you travel a lot?
Somewhat. I mean, I'll travel.
I travel a fair amount, and this never happens to me. But I went on miles we just got back from vacation in Maui, and my trip, I couldn't get seats with the rest of my family, so my wife and 2 kids flew out in the morning, and I flew out in the afternoon. They're in line in security, and the TSA comes up and says, "Excuse me, are you getting on this flight? Come on through and go through the clear line. The one that's really easy. You just walk through, and then they get on the plane. They're sitting there and they're saying, "Excuse me, would you mind taking the exit row at the front? It's a lot more leg room here, but there's a small child here who can't fly by herself, and we want to put her back here with someone else." That never happens to me. Never.
They were watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go on the plane and it's like moo. Battle.
They're like, oh, it's that Jeff dude. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You look like a terrorist. So.
Yeah. So, interesting news, or I guess what's been in the news lately is, what's the deal with all these startups being bought, these OpenStack startups?
Yeah, so it seems like the big companies, so last week IBM bought Blue Box, Cisco bought Piston, Cisco had previously bought MetaCloud, EMC bought Cloud Scaling before. Seems like all these really big name companies are going and buying all these OpenStack startups.
Well, even Microsoft's on the buying spree too.
Yeah, that's like the thing right now.
They just bought, was it Wonder something. It was the company they just bought, what, a couple weeks ago?
Does it do directory services in both directions?
I hope so. I don't think it does though.
They should find someone and just buy them. So anybody who needs
Yeah.
a startup idea, fix the Microsoft directory stuff and make millions.
As people are cringing, like, yeah.
No, it's not worth it.
Get right on that one. Yeah, I think Microsoft just bought. I swear they bought somebody last month. But yeah, the name is I can't think of. They bought somebody, but they've been on a buying spree too.
Yeah, that's been the thing lately, kind of buying spree.
Yeah, they'll only buy private companies. They don't buy public ones, right? I think.
Yeah,
I don't know that they ever buy a public company.
well, they'll buy private, buy small, buy the startups.
Yeah, right.
You know, you get a good bargain. Steal, take their
Startupbargainbasement.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But that's the way to do it, though. You know.
Yeah.
You're as a startup, you're waiting to get bought. I want my $26 billion.
Me too.
I think we can split it between the three of us and be perfectly okay.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that.
I maybe a slight budget because I'd have to split between you two.
Yeah,
but I think I can get by.
Think how many shoes that would buy.
And matching handbags.
And
that's a lot. I wouldn't. I'd just be in heaven. I'd smile every day. Yes. It'd just be a yes.
Yeah.
Anything else going on, Em?
No, I think that's about it.
I mean,
things have been kind of quiet. Cisco Live was this week.
Yeah, nothing really new other than
fun.
A whole new shakeup with the executives.
Cisco management shakeup, yes.
That's to be expected. Apple.
Oh yes, iTunes streaming service thing with Beats One Radio, $10 a month.
I heard there's going to be some fixes for iOS with ActiveSync because there's never problems with ActiveSync in iOS, right, Jeff? Never.
Right. No, not as often. That's an interesting relationship there.
Yeah, I don't get that. You would I don't get that relationship because there's always calendar issues.
It's really interesting and there's Microsoft people that sit in on Apple meetings.
Oh, I'd like to be a fly.
And help them with those things. So when they had the last issue with, what was it, 8.1 or I forget. No, I forget which version it was. Ever since then, they offered, we can help you. We can sit there and tell you whether or not this is a bad idea to do what you're doing.
Do they listen?
And, apparently. Yeah, we really haven't had any issues for a while. So.
I mean, there's been. I think the calendaring issue is pretty consistent, though. That I don't think has really changed much. It's helped a little bit. It was like back in the day with BlackBerry, and BlackBerry had those weird.
Oh God, yeah.
Those weird.
Yeah, calendar appointments disappearing. Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, your phone's running out of space. You can't get your calendar. It's like seriously. I wanted to shoot myself back in the day with BlackBerry.
Yeah. Yeah. One version when it ran out of space and it couldn't show your calendar. It went into Outlook and deleted.
Yes. Good old BlackBerry.
Like that. That was awesome. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I'm not sure if this whole calendar thing will ever be resolved. It just seems like it's almost. I don't know. It's normal. We have users that complain.
Haven't really had any problems with mine, but and the people I'm working with. But,
well, I wonder if it's.
Android's a different story, but.
Could it be possibly the MDM solution that you're using too that could make the issue worse?
It could be. We're just pure Microsoft MDM built into the whatever's in Office 365 or Exchange and ActiveSync. But
see, that seems to be less of an issue.
Yeah, a lot of customers are using MDM solutions like Mobile Iron and
Maz 360.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and generally they've been pretty good as long as they have a version that works with the version of Exchange or Office 365 that's in play.
Yeah, I think calendaring tends to be the big problem. What I've seen with MDM solutions, especially when you're talking about time zones, executives flying from country to country.
Yep.
Yeah.
My meetings are all off, and you get a call at 2
Right.
o'clock in the morning, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
I think it's something you can blame it on. You know, it's the dog ate my homework. You know, I'm sorry, my phone, the damn phone just, erased that appointment. That's why I'm not there right now, because
It says it's at 4 o'clock, but it's really 3.
right.
I missed this meeting. I'm like, call Apple.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Call Tim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. He's on speed dial.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us.
Absolutely. It's been really fun.
Yeah, it has been. We'll have to have you back sometime to talk about some other fun topics.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. When Teresa's in with us, the 3 of us, the Exchange Mafia. That's our new
Exchange Mafia. I think I need to make it a new personal goal to become like a apprentice to the Exchange Mafia.
Well, Jeff,
like the Exchange little hit person.
Since
work my way up.
Since this is the premiere of Exchange Mafia, I would say you're the godfather.
Oh, that would be great. I'll get some cotton balls and stuff them into my cheeks and like this. Yeah.
Jeff is the godfather of the Exchange Mafia.
I like it.
Yeah, we'll get that trending on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This was very fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap.
That's it, and we'll see you all next time here on Current Status.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.